Introducing Nirbhay Lumde, a visionary leader at the intersection of business and sustainability. With over 20 years of experience in corporate social responsibility and ESG strategies, he redefined how companies approach social impact. Currently serving as Senior Vice President of ESG at Prestige Group, Nirbhay leads transformative initiatives that seamlessly integrate sustainability into business practices. A graduate of IIT Bombay, Nirbhay's expertise is further reinforced by advanced certifications from institutions like Imperial College London, Cornell University and Wharton. His thought leadership in CSR has earned him recognition as a published author and co-author of pivotal case studies that show how CSR can drive both business growth and positive societal change. Today, Nirbhay continues to shape the future of corporate social responsibility, proving that true business success comes from balancing profit with purpose.
Namaste Nirbhay, welcome to Championing Change podcast, and we are very happy to have you here. You have been inspiring so many people through different type of platforms, and I'm sure with your exchange through this platform, all our viewers will be benefiting from your experience. You started something small, but today you are one of the most wanted sustainability leader, inspiring so many people. So can you give, some background or the journey that you went through in the last 20 years?
Thanks, Shoury. I think it's an opportunity for me to relive those maybe about 2 decades of where I really began. I think what really triggered me is about I come from a place underdeveloped, a place called Adilabad in Telangana. As I was growing and it was really extremely tough in terms of those, the atmosphere that where we really grew, and especially the education, such a catalyst to have change in oneself. In Adilabad, the world was very limited, was limited to newspaper, maybe your friends and colleagues and families and classmates. Beyond that, I had not seen anything else. But the place that I went for my graduation really brought me to a spectrum of opportunity where I could not just interact with nationalities of Indian. That gave me an opportunity to relook at the life. Saying that, and then I came to Central University to pursue my masters, and then the biggest thing that I would say today, what really changed me is about my the masters or the philosophy in master philosophy at IIT Bombay. That really made me to expose how important not just about your upbringing or background where you are from, where you are studied, but also mattered to me about how do you really look at things surrounding you. That took me to Delhi to work with one of the largest in consultancy firm to looking at social research and market research. And that was a time where one of the leading corporate leaders today, who is very well known for his philanthropy, was looking for young graduates to really come and join him and then make a difference. So I said, okay, what is wrong here when I'm in city in Delhi and really looking at life happily? I said, let me take the challenge. I come from a grassroots, I come from a rural tribal area. I said, let me take the challenge. That's how I plunged into where I am today. And that was about, I worked associated with them for about 6-7 years or so. I went to various places. Though I was based in rural Andhra, and then I worked in Telangana, of course, that's where I come from, and always pleasure to come back to this state. And then I worked in Chhattisgarh, Orissa, I did travel to Uttarakhand, Rajasthan. So that gave me an idea about how different the world could be for us. And someone who has wherewithal in terms of knowledge, passion. So the organization gave me that platform to really learn. And of course, that was more of a trigger point for me to pick up this journey of where I am today. And then, of course, while working with the not-for-profit, not actually, many of you, those who are listening to this podcast, will understand that when we work with a not-for-profit or NGOs, we realize that we are only doing grassroots impact. What we really miss is about that we build such lovely relationships with community. So these, not just community, the government functionary that you really work, without having, you don't think that you're investing, but you invest so much. So that really triggered one of the largest technology companies looked at me and said, hey, you really build relationships, and why don't you pick up something called proof of concepts? Okay. And asked me saying that let's work on how technology could be an enabler and bring about a change. As I was in this large technology company, Then I looked at, so I started writing, which typically in this profession, we really miss about writing. We don't, some of this learning that we have, we keep it to ourselves. Somewhere, the sad part of this profession, unfortunately with NGO, is that we are extremely modest. Somewhere we feel that what we are doing is a minuscule. Am I really bringing that change? So we always believe that change means that am I able to transform a district, transform a state? But what we really don't understand is, or we undermine is, that even if you are able to influence, even if you are able to bring an impact to a single family, if it is women, I think you are transforming life and the generations altogether. So that's really, so that's where I started writing about where I was in the technology company. And subsequently, the CSR happened, the Corporate Social Responsibility of the Companies Act 2013. And that really helped me while working with the governments, working with the technology company. Then I moved to one large scale US MNC in India. And while working on CSR program, those of you who are listening, you would be wondering, I was the only non-techie guy went to Boston in the US on an offsite assignment to work with their charity initiative. And that really opened up doors of opportunities for me, looking not just about CSR purely for the company, but looking at how CSR could be a game changer if you really want to achieve the sustainable development goals. That gave me an avenue to look at global as a platform for me. When I was with that company, I picked up the ESG, which was evolving. Because 15 years into NGO, social research, NGO, and into CSR, I realized what next of me. Because you do not, no one tells you in this profession saying that how you need to really plan your career. You have to really figure it out. So I realized this is one space, if I really want to grow as a leader or someone who want to really have a better path into this, I picked up ESG as more of a reading opportunity. Thanks to those companies who gave me an opportunity to be part of that. I began my small journey with looking at how ESG could be an opportunity to help companies. While CSR helps you to build community development, ESG really helps you how your company can grow bigger. Looking at the 3P, the people, planet and profits, and how community development could be a part and parcel of your social part of the ESG. And today, yes, of course, that helped me to draft a couple of books. And then also I have an IV business case study on how employee volunteering could be a brand building exercise. So that has been my journey from a social marketing researcher to a grassroots to CSR to sustainability, and today I lead ESG and sustainability for one of the largest companies, listed companies in India. So wonderful to see myself and visualizing where I was and where I am today. Thanks for asking that.
Yeah, so inspiring, Nirbhay, starting from a very remote village in Adilabad, now, overcoming all the hurdles in your life, and very, very, very interesting and inspiring. And I think you are a kind of self-made guy.
I would not say self-made guy. I think people did help me in my journey where I was, if only the person, my manager who would have not told me saying that, no, you're really pathetic with spoken and written English, I think that would have not triggered me. So that really influenced me saying that, yes, I've been into this space. I think if I don't take charge of myself, no one is going to come for my rescue. I think it's a journey that I felt collaboration is a key. And in this ecosystem, we really grow on shouldering each other's strengths. And that's how we have to grow. There is no other way if you really want to solve biggest problems of the planet, which is like could be poverty elevation, or could be about uplifting women, or could be about water. Any of those challenges, I think we will not solve unless we work together.
So, Nirbhay, it's very nice to see the journey that you had, which is very inspiring and very successful. And I'm sure you had gone through some kind of ups and downs, right? So, could you just give me some details about, what were your key issues that you faced, and how did you overcome such kind of situations?
I think the first biggest challenge has been about 15 years back, or maybe 10, 12 years back, when the CSR Act really became the Corporate Social Responsibility, or the Companies Act has happened. It was blank slate for all of us. We had no idea. Yes, philanthropy, charity, NGOs really had an extremely good way of implementing programs. But somewhere the corporatization of doing good was a challenge, because you have to really push your practices to an NGO to do better. And the first challenge that I really had was about how do I really build my NGO partners. First, actually bring NGOs to my level of understanding. what is that common ground to build success? How do we define success together? Which is a challenge that we are solving it together. So first challenge was about figuring out about not-for-profit in the NGO sector. How do you really evaluate some of these partners? That was the first thing.
It's a new type of stakeholder for you.
Yes, they were my primary stakeholders. So first thing was for me about the trust quotient was really, so I had to really trust my partners to start with. The first challenge, I would say that figuring out this space really was extremely challenging. And the second challenge that I really feel and what really helped me to improve myself is about somewhere we do not document, somewhere we do not report the impact stories. We are extremely bad with storytelling. That's a reality. I think those of you who are listening might not agree with me, but that's a fact. We really do transformative work. And we have been doing this year on year. We have been doing for maybe 6-7 decades or so since independence. We have been doing great amount of work. Unfortunately, we really forget, or maybe we don't pay attention to in terms of documenting such efforts. So that's the second thing that really triggered me, saying that yes, if you are doing good work, what stops you from documenting, sharing and amplifying the work? That's the second one I would say. The third biggest thing that really, there are failures. I would say that in my first, the CSR initiative, I really utterly failed in scaling up one of the programs.
Okay.
That was the biggest.
What could be the reason? What could be the reason?
There are multiple reasons. One for sure is about I trusted my partner blindly, not knowing the grassroots realities.
Okay.
The other end, the beneficiaries, the way I defined success of that project, the way my NGO partner understood and my board understood, were on a 3 different junctures. We were very, very differently defined in our own senses. So therefore, that's one portion that I would say.
Do you mean to say you were targeting impact, somebody was targeting only outcome, somebody was targeting only output?
Absolutely, you're spot on. So to impact, the way you look at it, I'll talk about largely on the quantifying metrics, right? Largely corporates do look at deep dive programs, but somewhere we do get pushed around, or maybe that's where we look at a success metrics about how the outreach has been, how many people more we really benefited. But NGOs typically look at how much impact I made in depth. So somewhere you have to really balance between both, right? And board gives you maybe not more than 5 to 7 minutes of your time when your approvals are there. So they were saying that yes, we will be able to transform one generation maybe in next 1 or 2 years, which is unreal, right? So therefore, that was really a trigger point for me to really take board in my confidence, saying that what is theory of change? So that was the second or third kind of a failure that I see. The third, I think, COVID taught me biggest lesson of my life. I think life could be so uncertain. And of course, I would say from a success point of view, I had partners like Bala Vikasa. So I had partners like Bala Vikasa here to amplify my work. I can trust you blindly. From the other thing, I think I would like to mention is about throughout my career, I had, I'm not saying that bad managers, but I really had a good support of my board members. Come what may, they trusted blindly, supported with me resources, and of course I gave them the results. So therefore, I could really grow the way I grew, and that's the reason I'm here. I had good partners who really helped me to really build programs. Certain programs that I did on technology and education, the outreach about a couple of lakh children we used to train on tinkering technology. I would have not done if I had no partners. So I really trusted partners. It was a mutual growth, and of course I do mentor partners. I do mentor the ecosystem. So it's mutually we grew, Shoury.
Many NGOs are having very good heart, dedication to do good things, but some competency differences between what corporate expects and what NGO possesses, there is a gap, right? So I hear this from so many corporate CSR leaders on different platforms, we're not able to match the competency in different things. Let's say you're a CSR head spending 5 crores, 10 crores with 10 implementing partners. You're spending so much money on the project. Are you looking, the corporate teams, why don't you look at investing some of your CSR grant in building the capabilities of your partner NGOs? Maybe allocate like 10 lakhs, 20 lakhs per year to build the competency of these NGOs so that they can become a better partner, either working with you. As you said, if employees get trained, either working with that NGO or other NGO, they are still working for good. Similarly, if you can fund in incubating or training the NGO partners, either they are working with you or working with other company or anybody, they will still be doing good. Do you think it's good to think about that? Companies investing their CSR money to build the capacity of the NGOs?
See, I would not say that it's not possible. It's certainly possible. Unfortunately, the CSR Act doesn't allow. But however, today, the CSR leads can take that lead because CSR leads are part of a corporate and they do go through certain training programs. Be it theory of change management is one, unconscious bias is other one, or could be technology training programs, which is offered to their own employees, can always be offered to their own NGO partners for sure. It need not necessarily be an additional investment. I'm sure the CSR leads who are listening to this podcast will relate to me that you can always go back to your HR leaders and say that, hey, you've got 5 partners, 15 people that you want to train on any of these skill sets, what HR really offers today. Can these be extended to NGOs? I doubt any HR leader in a corporate will say no to it. So it's doable. It need not necessarily be the CSR grant. It can be a pure corporate grant because NGOs are going to stay here, and it's time the way the CSR really moved from a pure grassroots work to today corporate are taking in their boardroom discussions. I think this is going to stay longer. So therefore, I think CSR leads can actually take that lead and then have your own training program that you are offering to employees, offer to your CSR partners. What stops them? Nothing stops them. It's only the inertia.
It's investment. It's investment in your, if you want real impact, you need to invest in your teams, right?
Absolutely, yeah. CSR partners are equivalent to my team members, right? End of the day, they are my partners and I work with them day in and day out. If they don't comply, I'm at fail. I tend to fail, right?
Yeah, they will only support you.
Yeah,
right.
You have to grow together and you have to plan together.
Nirbhay, listening from you said, the companies are getting more and more involved in the sustainability, especially from the last 10, 15 years, right? So in this process, where companies are increasingly involving the ESG activities, sustainability, all those things, what is the kind of shift happening, right? How are they looking at community development at a grassroots level, at national level? How are they looking at this in their business responsibility?
I think I would say that the shift has already happened today. I think about 10, 15 years back, philanthropy, largely the corporates were limited to philanthropy, which is one-time giving. Yeah. And then there were limited scope of employee engagement. The beginning of about the early days of the CSR, the corporate social responsibility was more seen like an compliance. It was more like, there is a CSR lead who brings in partners, you give away money and then we are all happy about it as long as we are able to meet the compliance.
More of obligation.
It was more of an obligation, absolutely. But however, I think the last 8-9 years have been extremely transformative. Today, there is no corporate who has single CSR lead. There are multiple teams or multiple members have been part of a CSR team. So therefore, that means that the corporate has really serious about giving back, making an impact. So from an ad hoc one-time giving back to philanthropy to move to the obligation or a compliance, then it has moved to where the corporate start believing that yes, I can give, I can make an impact, it can add value to me. Then what really happened about over I think last 5-7 years since the COVID times, corporates have seen the value of while I give back as part of my CSR, it also creates value to me as a company. There are multiple ways the way you look at it. Today, it helps me to write or better my annual reports. Not just about obligation, but there are impact stories can be added part of my annual ESG story that I'm able to write. Today, employee engagement through volunteering can happen. And I'm super proud of this initiative because I used to engage about 60% of the employees through employee volunteering. Yeah, people do disagree saying that how can employee engagement make a difference? I think we undermine that role. Even ad hoc one-time engagement does make lots of difference. Well, it could be a disturbance to NGO to some extent, but certainly adds value. You cannot teach empathy. It only can be experienced. So therefore, empathy can be experienced through you're not able to do any training programs, but if you take them, say that how privileged they are as a corporate employee when go and work with any privileged or underserved community. That shift has already happened. The fourth biggest thing that really has happened is about, we call it creating shared value. While working with community, you are able to meet your compliance and obligation. You are able to do employee engagement or volunteering. I think today the CSR leads are really proud of their engagement. Today, instead of beginning of maybe 5 to 7 minutes of time in a board meeting, today I got hour-long meeting that are happening where the CSR boards are able to talk, share, exchange notes, what's happening in their CSR program. And in fact, there are platforms where the CEOs really take pride in what they're doing as part of the CSR programs. Yeah. And of course, one of the case studies that I can always tell about in Indian context, that there is no company in India that is just spending 2% of net profits. Most of them are spending beyond 2%. Nice. That's it. That's where from a pure one-time philanthropy to being part of a business has begun. And I would like to add one thing. I'm sure my people who are listening to this conversation, the CSR leads will really agree with me that today in campus placements, where we do a campus docket, it's called, where you create how good your company, what profits, what perks that are given as if you join as an employee, as a fresher. Today I got one slide that speaks about CSR initiatives, employee volunteering, and how much impact and outreach they have reached through the CSR program. It's a one deck, a part of the deck, there's one slide has been added. So that's how we have really evolved, not just about giving good salaries, but creating a company that cares for the community development.
That's so nice to hear. From obligatory mood to feel good, right? This feel good is
business of doing good. I can borrow a word. Yeah.
Right? Business so that makes them to do more and more, right? When you are getting addicted to profits, you want to get more profits. When you get addicted to creating impact, you want to create more impact and the feel good. That's
absolutely
nice. Yeah. I want to put one question on this. Is every company really looking at the impact? They are really looking at only implementing an activity. How important impact for them?
See, I think it's a mixed bag. I would say that is, as a corporate, as a private entities, we do look at the quantitative parameters. The outreach also is equally important. I think somewhere the last 10, 12 years, the CSR leaders also have evolved. The boards also understand today, it's not just about the numbers really matter. Numbers do matter to some extent, but somewhere deep dive work also the corporates are seriously looking into it. Yeah, it's a mutual, Shoury. It's about how NGOs are looking at it in terms of their capacity and how corporates are looking at their capacity. And of course, I would also say that the CSR leaders also need to really invest in their own capacity. From a pure obligation where they were about 10, 12 years back, to where they really want to take their own journey, their own corporate as a journey, and their own NGO partners. So there has to be transition to next level. We cannot do repetitive job over decade or so. There has to be something more. You have to bring some value, some respect, and as well as some addition to what you have been doing in day in and day out. So certainly I would say that you need to really invest in capacity building of the CSR leads themselves. If you really want to see the transition from where they were to where they want to be.
Yeah. See, in our journey, we work with a lot of corporates, doing programs. I see majority of the CSR programs are targeting towards impact, but there are still some corporates just worried about implementing an activity, right? They're not really looking at impact. They want to do good, right? It's not that they don't want impact, but they have not designed impact in their program, right? What would you suggest for them?
I think the CSR leads need to go back to their boardroom, convey to the board, saying that change does not happen overnight. See, you can meet obligation without doing any of this.
Yeah.
Just to donate to one of the corporates or could be to government entities, and then you are happy about it. But if you are really serious about impact, first you need to buckle up yourself with what is happening in the world around you. Are things changing around you for sure? Second, take that confidence and have a dialogue with your board members. Say that, hey, things are changing. The way about 10 years back I have implemented programs cannot be implemented the same way. How can I do today?
Right.
So therefore, the responsibility, the onus is on the CSR lead to take that trigger to the boardroom saying that, hey, put your foot down, work with them, I am sure the board will listen to it. Do not look at just pure implementation. Pure implementation has no meaning, Shoury.
Right.
We are only spending for the sake of fun, for spending. There's no meaning into it at all.
Yeah, why I'm asking this question is, we have some projects either with Bala Vikasa or with some other NGOs also. People implemented an activity, construction of something. Construction of project happened without constructing the community. No motivation, no organization, no participation, but something constructed in the village. And a company was so happy that to have that inaugurated, all those things. And go to the same village 3 months after, the project is closed. And your brand is there, right? Your brand, which is shown on a closed project. It's actually damaging the brand of the organization, right?
Yes.
So how can we help the companies to look differently than just implementing an activity?
I think there are two ways of looking at it. One, for sure, when you're pitching to corporates, I think you should look at saying that I am going to create an impact, not just about implementation of project.
Yeah.
I am going to create an impact. Impact is going to take at least 2 to 3 years or 3 to 5 years, depending upon the scale of operation and the
Type of project.
the sustainable development goal in mind that we are working. The second thing is about, I think you need to push your CSR leads and the board, push them to field work, ask them to come and make them witness what you are doing, the good work that you are doing.
Yeah.
And third, which I would say that there is something called when you withdraw from a project, end of life, there's a method to that madness of withdrawing. It cannot be abruptly end, but there has to be a withdrawal strategy. While you have got impact strategy, you also need to have a withdrawal strategy when you complete a project. Because you just cannot have name board saying that I built this school or I built this well, I supplying some water to someone, and those are non-functioning anymore.
Yeah.
Does not make any sense. It does more bad than good.
Yeah, that's true. Finance is gone and brand is gone.
Yeah, both are at stake.
Yeah, and I think it's a great experience that you have, especially over the last 2 decades. And the indication of your experience, the knowledge in the sector, I think, I can see very much in this, your new publication, It's very useful to NGOs, very useful to corporates, So it's very nice. And I also read this book. It's very, very inspiring, lot of advice for people who want to get into ESG sector, career growth. It's very nice, very powerful tool, this one. So what is next after this? You have such a great knowledge. So what are your next thoughts or next steps in this regard?
I think what really triggered me for drafting this book is I did about maybe 18, 19 years into CSR space, and I was looking at what next of myself, right? So as part of the CSR, I only have elevating myself is about either getting to pure philanthropy or pick up an high net worth individual who can give money and then I do something for him or for her and work with grassroots. The third option, which is largely we do not pay attention to, about ESG. The space of ESG is evolving.
Yeah.
And what we really hear about the environmental, social and governance, in fact the CSR falls into the social part of the ESG. And what really helped me or what triggered me to write this about, yes, CSR leaders, we are doing great work, but how do you really bring the lessons of CSR into business practices? While yes, we are talking about part of the boardroom. So this has really, those thought process have really pushed me saying that yes, me as a leader in CSR space, how do I look at my next part of journey? So I looked at ESG as a space. Then I felt while I am going through this journey, I am sure most of the people are also going through the journey of how do I really build my capacity. So I put down my own thought processes and my own journey could be helpful for others. So I picked up some pointers in terms of CSR, the good points, how you can transition to an ESG and evolving into a sustainability profession. That's where I put my thought processes. And I also looked at largely into what is going to come now. See, today we have Indian government announcing net zero by 2070. How does India can be 2070 without net zero by 2070 without having the other stakeholders? Who are the other stakeholders? You have got corporate, anyway they are part of the story because they have respect to net zero targets. Then you have got population, the citizen, who have to be extremely conscious if they want to be net zero. Then you have got various other industry sectors, right, who have to be conscious of what they really want to do it. The way I see it if really India wants to be net zero by 2070, we need as many people, as many leaders in this space of ESG. They need to transition where they are today to ESG space for sure. How do they really grow? There are not many platforms, there are not many forums where they can really go and learn.
Okay.
Either you have got long term over the years that you can really learn. Do we have time? We do not have so much of time. So given with 10 to 15 years of experience under your capacity as a leader who is evolving, I think that's the space that I really see is about ESG for sure from a corporate leader's point of view. From NGOs point of view, what we really miss it about is that today you have got NGOs who have bigger role than corporates today. Communities can actually help through NGOs to offset, to ensure that corporates have avenues to offset their net zero targets.
Okay.
Be it could be water conservation projects, could be soil conservation, could be working with high level plantation drives, big number of plantation drives.
Organic farming.
Yeah, that's the alternate or the farming technique that they can adopt. So therefore, I think somewhere we undermine the role of other players in achieving India's net zero plan. So the community organizations, the NGOs have a much bigger role. The way I see it transitioning, next 3 years, I think I'll talk about a bit on the regulatory institutions in India, which are paying attention, saying that the listed companies need to come with something called BRSR, Business Responsibility and Sustainability Reporting.
Right.
Our sustainability reporting, some of those have been made mandatory to be published by these corporates.
Right.
And then the Central Bank of India, the Reserve Bank of India make certain ESG norms, metrics mandatory for green financing. So therefore, there are avenues for corporates, there are avenues for NGOs, for CSR leads outright. If India has to net zero by 2070, NGOs, CSR leads and ESG leaders have no choice to build their capacity, come together, pick up platforms where really you can go and learn. Right. Unfortunately, Shoury, we do not have platforms where really you can go and learn, and that's where exactly I drafted this 300, I know it's a lengthy book, but I had no choice but to put my thoughts there.
Just a while ago, you spoke about the gaps in the NGOs, right? I agree, NGOs have the passion and the willingness, commitment, all those, but some competency gaps. And even in the corporate sector, right? Increasingly, companies are coming into the CSR obligation, and then they are increasing the teams, as you said, from 1 member to 2 member, 3 member. What could be the gaps for those kind of people who are coming from HR or finance, and then sitting on the CSR initiatives? Would you suggest what do they need to build and how do they need to build?
I know it's a very tough question to answer, to say yes, they have capacity, I do not have capacity. For sure, there is scope for improvement, because today the way corporate looks at CSR, largely obligation. End of the day, your CFO has to certify, right?
Yeah.
When you are in part of this corporate, your CFO has to not certify the impact, certify the spend. Unfortunately, that's a reality.
Yeah.
So therefore, today corporates are largely, even today, focused around obligation. But there are ways of how you look at this obligation per se. Maybe 2-3 ways the CSR leads can take a lead in terms of, one, for sure, look at impact story. While your CFO and the board does ask about obligation, give them confidence. When you are actually evaluating your own partners, have partners who can be your, the NGOs who can be partners.
For impact.
Not implementation.
For impact partner.
You have to have impact partners to drive a good work.
I think from now on, companies should change the word from implementing partner to impact partner.
Absolutely, you're right. Yeah,
Right?
They're not just implementation partner; they're impact partners.
Partner. Then their objective is to create impact.
Absolutely. So that's one for sure. The second thing I think, in terms of CSR, the capacity point of view is about change would not happen overnight. So CSR needs to come out of their comfort zone, visit the grassroots, and learn from them. The third, I think CSR leads somewhere also need to build their own capacity, read, review, learn, pick up some certification programs. I think that's really important in terms of capacity for sure. I think today the days have really gone where I'll give money to my NGO partner or impact partner or implementation partner. Today the times are here that you have to collaborate with your NGO partner and see that mutually how you are able to bring about a change in the grassroots and how communities are benefiting. While your obligation should be transactional.
Yeah.
Then I think you have achieved that stage of nirvana.
Yeah. Yeah, Nirbhay, we have been discussing about sustainability. And in sustainability, the key stakeholders are the profit institute, profit entity, and non-profit entity, the company and the NGOs. And both have to work together ultimately. But as you see, there is a lot of cultural differences. For non-profit, there is a different kind of culture. For profit, there is a different kind of culture. So there are certain gaps. Unless the two respect each other, value each other, I think the impact cannot be produced the way it can produce. Can you, tell us, what are the major things that are hindering this alliance between profit and non-profit, and how they should overcome and then become a strong partners?
Thanks for asking that. That's a perennial problem statement, because somewhere NGOs have, I think largely in a theoretical knowledge, it's called low trust quotient. We use the word in corporate world, because NGOs do not trust corporates fully. Now, of course, there is other side also is true, which is corporate do not trust NGOs and NGOs don't trust corporates. Unfortunately, we are trying to solve planet's biggest challenges, sustainable development goals, right? Which needs collaboration. Collaborations would not materialize unless you either resolve these differences or build bridges to fill this gap.
Right.
There are two ways I look at it. One, for sure, I think the donor-donee relationship is no more sacrosanct in CSR.
Yeah.
The reason I say is that today, yes, you made profits as a corporate entity, you have an obligation you are giving back. And NGO should also look at as a business of doing good.
Yeah.
I think as long as corporate thinks that it is their not just obligation, is their responsibility to evolve, develop and take care of the community.
Right.
And as long as the NGO thinks that I am not a receiver, I am an equal partner,
yeah.
I think that's where I would see that the collaboration is the key here. The second thing I would say that in this to pacify the differences is also about both sides have to be transparent in agreeing to what they are really agreeing to it.
Right.
Corporate has to be really transparent enough saying that what is my end goal?
Yeah.
Is it impact, obligation or implementation?
Yeah.
But however, the onus is on the NGO to say that I am an impact partner. I am not here to just receive money.
Yeah.
And put your foot down and say that bringing change takes few years time. It cannot be done overnight.
Right.
The third thing, I think both sides I say that they should understand change management. They should sit in a single room, go through a nice capacity building program on change management. I think the cultural differences are going to be there, because the way corporate works in a very different set of things and NGO works in very different things. But what really can happen is about coexistence with the differences, but with a thought process saying that corporate is solving bigger problems and your NGO is an impact partner in the journey together. Each one of them have to work together, and change management is extremely critical to work together, and that's the only way of solving planet's biggest challenge, be it poverty alleviation, or women empowerment, or education, the water conservation, or we are talking about life below, life above, life in the air. So I think those cannot be solved if you have these differences. Bury your differences aside. NGOs should look themselves as impact partners. Corporate should look at as a corporate citizen, solving biggest problem, and they are one of the contributors and one of the collaborators.
Well said, Nirbhay. That shows your vision, wisdom in the sustainability sector. As I said in the beginning, with the 2 decades of experience as a key leader, very active leader, you have been inspiring on different platforms, and today also the kind of sharings you gave on different aspects is truly inspiring, enlightening. I'm sure our audience, like the CSR team, startups, NGOs, they will be definitely benefiting from your sharings. So from Bala Vikasa, we really thank you for taking time, coming all the way from Bangalore to be part of this podcast, and thank you once again for being with us.
Thank you, Shoury, for having me here.
Yeah, good.